Hello and welcome to the Vietnam Esports Champions League 2014. We're still waiting on one of the spectators to get into the game, so hopefully he gets into it without any further problems. But either way, I'm going to be one of your casters today. I'm Grenda's Fee, and I'm going to be joined by Whiplash. Welcome to the cast. Ooh.
Hello, Grandis. This is I believe our first time casting together, so I'm excited to see what we can accomplish. Anyway, I'm sad to hear that it's a best of one instead of best of three. This was kind of thrown on us at the last second here, and yeah, still waiting on that last spectator, but hopefully we'll see him pop in soon, or we may be remaking here.
Yeah, it looks like unfortunately that is going to be the case. Looks like we're going to have a quick remake, but since it was just one of the spectators and not one of the players, it should just be a fast one.
Yeah, it should be. Um, I did see Imba play yesterday. I casted one of their games. They pretty much just outplayed their opposition. It's Invasion. I've seen they've been kind of coming up through the C scene recently. I've noticed.
Yeah, definitely. They were one of the invited teams, if I remember correctly, and they didn't have to qualify in this tournament. So, just based on their previous tournament performances, the tournament organizers decided that they'd have a free spot in their tournament. And, well, they've shown that they definitely deserved the spot.
Yeah, if I recall, they were not invited to the TI qualifiers, but then shortly after, they were able to kind of take some names off some of the better C teams from the region. So that's kind of when I first learned about Invasion, but still, at least to me, they're a relatively newer and unknown team. I'm sure the players have been around for much longer than that.
Yeah, definitely looks like everybody got into the game the second time around. It's going to be a little bit hard to talk about this draft as it hasn't actually gone through just yet. But other than that, I don't think there's really a whole lot to talk about these teams. This is the lower bracket, and so whoever loses this game is going to be completely knocked out. It is a best of one, so pretty much anything can happen, especially with these type of teams where you just have very close competition. Either of these teams could pull off a very easy win, and we might see some interesting strats coming out of them just to make sure that they can ensure the win. They will be playing against the loser, I believe, of Scythe and Myth, but I'm not sure who or what's going on as far as that game is concerned. It's supposed to be cast on HeflaTV 1 at the moment, but I think the games have gotten delayed, and there might be some interesting things going on with that. So I guess just stay tuned, and we'll see what's going on there.
Hopefully they'll get everything resolved. But so far, just looking at the few bans here, we have Lycan, as well as the Faceless Void and Viper removed so far. So as far as Southeastern Eastern Asian Dota is concerned, not really too many surprises here. I know that C Dota in general really likes to play that Viper a lot, and generally the Asian scene in general will pick up this hero a little bit more compared to the Western scenes, and also the Doom banned out as well. So not a big surprises here. Doom basically just, he'll be able to take down or remove anyone from a team fight for a long period of time, making him a very useful hero throughout all stages of the game. And Faceless Void, kind of with the return of the team fighting meta, we've seen a resurgence in this hero and a lot of new popularity in him. So no big surprises as far as the bans are concerned.
As far as the picks, however, I'm a little bit confused. Brewmaster has not been touched at all in this draft, and I expect Imba to pick that one up for themselves, or at the very least ban it out in the second ban stage. I don't think you really leave such a strong teamfighting hero in the pool, and, well, with them banning out the Viper, which is expected, it does leave him available. Well, first pick Tree Protector from Imba Gaming, and Bristleback Shadow Demon, the combination for Invasion.
Okay, so they pick up the Razor. This is a hero that can work decently against the Bristle because he'll just constantly drain all the damage that he kind of stacks up over time from Warpath. Not directly that damage, but it'll kind of keep him in check, so to speak, with that static link ability. And Treant Protector, always a solid support. EG has really made a good use of this hero throughout the last few months, and he's kind of been popularized throughout all of the scenes. And looking at the Shadow Demon as well as Bristleback. Bristle, we saw this hero actually get played at TI yesterday, a lot by MVP, and they played the hero quite well, and I believe I did hear a few of the analysts at TI saying that there was going to be a big resurgence of Bristleback at the International, so I'm curious to see how Invasion will handle this hero. And as far as the Shadow Demon is concerned, it's just an overall solid support hero. Really good at initiation and also counter initiation, keeping your heroes safe.
Yeah, definitely. A very tanky front line coming out from Invasion Esports so far, just with the defensive potential of both of those heroes. But it is a dire side Bristleback, so the lightning phase might be a little bit weaker for him. And he might be zoned out fairly effectively, won't have access to that pull, and the creep equilibrium is definitely favoring the Radiant offlane if you compare the two, so we'll have to see how they're going to use it. In fact, they might even decide to put that Bristleback mid, although it is fairly unconventional.
Yeah, I can't recall the last time I've seen Bristle melee, but if you do put a middle, it can definitely be used to kind of punish some teams if they go for greedy mid laners, especially if they're melee. So Bristleback can be useful in some mid situations. And there's that Panda ban that we were looking for from Imba Gaming, and also a Skywrath Mage from Invasion. Now, this is a hero that's been really popping up a lot more recently. And the reason for that is Ancient Seal. Teams are just discovering how good of a disable and silence this is. There's not a lot of heroes in Dota with silences. And this one that lasts for such a long time, it can really be the key against heroes like that Brewmaster, which traditionally are really powerful team fighting heroes.
Yeah, definitely. Also, the amplified magic damage is quite ridiculous at level 1. It's like 30%, and it makes it very easy to burst down those targets when you do silence them. And yeah, as you mentioned, a lot of the top tier picks at the moment, like Tidehunter and Brewmaster, are shut down by that silence if it's well timed. And while Invasion Esports are going to pick themselves up the Tidehunter, so we're looking at some, I don't know, interesting lanes coming out from them. They have two heroes that generally are sent towards the off lane, and Imba are going to respond with the Timbersaw. I quite like this here, up against the Tidehunter as well as the Bristleback.
Yeah, Timbersaw is actually an excellent hero against the Bristleback because that Whirling Death ability is still going to do a flat 15% stat reduction to the primary attribute of the hero he hits with it. So Bristleback, even though he has his passive, ironically also called Bristleback, which reduces damage that he takes from enemy unit that hits him from the sides or behind, he'll still take that full 15% strength stat reduction, which makes Timbersaw one of the best heroes, actually, to kind of fight through Bristleback's tankiness. And, of course, like you already mentioned, Tidehunter, another strength hero that he can deal with. So I'm starting to really enjoy Imba Gaming's lineup so far, and now they pick up the Ember Spirit in addition to their lineup.
Yeah, Ember Spirit here, he's going to offer a lot of damage if he's able to get up those items, and shores up their late game quite a bit. They're lacking a little bit of lockdown. Really all they have is the chains from the Ember Spirit as well as the Terrain Protector Overgrowth. But at some point, that's going to be enough to make sure that they can get the damage through with the Ember Spirit's Sleight of Fist if he does end up getting like the double Battle Fury with the Daedalus on top of that as well.
5 seconds.
Yeah, I would like to see one more, I guess, disable, just straight up disable from Imba Gaming. Looking maybe a Vengeful Spirit could fit into their lineup. We'll have to see exactly what they want. Warlock maybe, or not Warlock, Lion, excuse me. But Invasion, they already have a lot of disable across the board. But most likely looking for some type of mid hero at this point. It kind of seems to me, based on their picks, that they either want to go aggressive with this Bristleback and put Tide kind of in the off lane area, or vice versa. But Morphling will be the final pick. So there's still a lot of options on exactly where Invasion wants to put these heroes as far as lanes are concerned.
Yeah, definitely. As it stands, I'd expect the Tidehunter to go towards the off lane or solo safe, and then have the Bristleback as the farming core in their tri-lane, and then put the Morphling towards the mid lane, but there's so many different ways that they could scramble that up, depending on this last pickup from Imba Gaming.
10 seconds.
And also, similarly, they might decide to put their tri-lane in a defensive position to make sure that this Timbersaw doesn't get out of hand, because solo 1v1, Tidehunter and Bristleback really don't do all that well against the Timbersaw.
Reserve time.
Yeah, that's true. Traditionally, in 1v1 scenarios, they're pretty darn strong. But Timbersaw is one of those few heroes that can really do well against him in the lane, just through the stat reduction from Whirling Death and through his tankiness and regeneration on reactive armor. He's just a great hero overall in these situations. But the final pick, it's going to be the Enigma. So I guess they really are just counting on these cores to kind of do well off in their lanes without too much support, but they will at least have the Treant Protector armor to kind of help out whoever needs it the most in their respective lanes.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know, most of these heroes from Imba Gaming are fairly self-sufficient when it comes to laning. Ember Spirit, Timbersaw, and Razor can all solo fairly effectively, so I think they'll be able to get away with this Enigma in the jungle, especially if the Treant Protector is offering the living armor support. But that said, Invasion Esports tri-lane is nothing to joke about, so we'll have to see how Imba Gaming are going to try to deal with this.
Yeah, I guess Shadow Shaman, he's okay in offensive tri lanes. He's not the best, but with the Shadow Demon and the Rains on Disruption, that'll give him the space he needs to either use the Shackles or Hex, and then Bristleback can just start, whacking away at people as well, even throw on a little bit of Nasal Goo. So I think it will be quite effective if they opt for that route as far as lanes are concerned. We'll have to wait and see exactly how they do that, but it is kind of looking like we're going to see something offensive from Invasion early on, and I think against Imba's lineup, that would be kind of the way to go. Do their best to punish them early on and prevent the cores from getting online and farm in the earliest stages while giving their Morphling at least a little bit of room to farm.
Yeah, definitely. While we're paused here in the first portions of the game, I'll go ahead and introduce the Radiant team. It is going to be Imba playing on the Radiant, with Cylon GG playing on the Enigma, Super Hayu on the Treant Protector, 7-7 on the Ember Spirit, Jennifer on the Razor, and Kinzu on the Timbersaw.
Yeah, if we go ahead and check out Invasion's lineup, over on that Shadow Demon, we have ADTR, and then we have another stand-in, I guess the first stand-in, 3-4-3 as the Bristleback. Moving over to the Morphling, it's EZG-88, and then the final two, it will be Shadow Shaman played by FZFZ, and then Ghost on the Tidehunter. And I guess Morphling is not EZG-88, his name is Kiek instead, sorry about that.
Well, it wouldn't be Southeast Asian Dota if we didn't start out with a pause to start things. Well.
That's so true.
Not sure exactly what we're waiting for, but hopefully everything will proceed, because there's really not a lot to talk about. I think we pretty much exhausted all of the theory crafting in the draft.
Yeah, pretty much. I don't know, we can always talk about food. I know it's quite early over there for you. Did you eat anything before the cast started?
I ate a piece of toast and a cup of tea. That was about it.
All right. So just keeping it nice and simple, I suppose. I had some McDonald's, so I'm going that unhealthy route.
Yep, I don't know. It's a little early for McDonald's here.
Yeah, well, over in Koreaville where I reside, it's now 9:30 p.m. ish. It's actually not too far up from Southeast Asian time. I think they're only an hour or so behind me. So it's the evening for them. It's the evening for me, and just figured cast a little bit of Dota before TI gets underway. I'm excited. What teams are you rooting for this TI?
I'm rooting for an EG versus DK finals, but honestly, I think pretty much all of these teams are contenders. Like, there's very few bad bets, I'd say. I don't know. Anything could happen.
Yeah.
I'm very interested to see how this group stage pans out.
Yeah, there's like 4 of the 6 just top tier teams that you're actually like, who's going to end up winning here? It's kind of more of who do you want to win, because it's so hard to actually call who's going to be the real winner. But I do have a little bit of nationalistic pride. I'm rooting for EG. Want the boys from America to do good and win. So that's who I'm hoping comes out on the #1 spot. But as far as Chinese teams are concerned, I'm a big fan of DK. So I hope they do really well. But I do kind of look at IG as being I think by like a hair, the strongest Chinese team, but really just anything can happen.
Yeah, definitely. Well, GLHF, apparently.
That's right. So I wonder what if they said why there's a pause. I didn't see anything. Okay, cool. I heard "We ready from invasion," and hopefully the guys
Oh dear.
over at Imba. Oh, okay. Somebody decided to use the bathroom. Well, I suppose better now than in the middle of the game. Might as well get it out of the way before things truly start getting online.
Yeah, I don't know. He's a jungle enigma. He probably could have had his team like micro. I don't know. It's fine. We'll just have to wait for Silent GG to get back into the game.
I suppose so.
Let's see. This is a best of one. It was originally planned to be a best of three. So, we'll just have to see how these teams are going to perform. Do you have any favorites as far as the draft is concerned?
Looking at the draft, I think that it's just going to depend how aggressive Invasion wants to be in the earlier stages. If we see them doing like an offensive tri-lane or doing a lot of rotations with the Shadow Demon and Shadow Shaman combination and getting a lot of kills here and there and really just stifling the farm of a lot of these heroes because besides the Bristleback, I would say that pretty much everybody on Imba is a pretty darn farm-dependent hero, whereas we look at Invasion, I guess the Morphling, he's going to be farming away, and Bristleback will need to get some items, and Tide will as well, but overall probably not as farm-dependent as Imba. The Ember Spirit, for example, he can do a lot of damage in the earlier stages, but if he really wants to continue being a threat throughout the game, he does have to get that Battle Fury. Same with Timbersaw and the Bloodstone. He really can just, constantly come into these fights and be tanky enough with that item. And, of course, I guess a Razor or Enigma could pick up the mechanism this game, but Enigma, I guess he could go for a Blink Dagger a little bit faster if we see Jennifer pick that up on the Razor as far as the mech is concerned. Yeah, I mean, they both have really strong team fight. I think it will come down a lot to how successful Invasion is in the earlier stages as far as putting the aggression on. I imagine Imba will kind of be sitting back a little bit more and just trying to focus on their farm and not dying as much. And I guess the Treant Protector is kind of reflecting their defensive nature.
Yeah, definitely. I pretty much agree. If Invasion are able to get that early aggression and get some early kills, especially on this Ember Spirit, as well as just making sure that the Timbersaw doesn't farm very effectively in lane. I don't know, Imba don't have the best heroes at abusing the jungle. Outside of the Enigma, the other heroes don't farm particularly well, especially until the Ember Spirit gets the Battle Furies online. So we'll just have to see, I guess. I think we're getting into this game shortly.
Well, apparently, one of the members of Imba had food poisoning, so he's having some trouble in the bathroom. I believe it's the Enigma, Silent GG. So send all your hopes and prayers out to him.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. By the way, I'm looking at these HUD skins, and it's the first time I've seen the Sands of Luxor one. It's like the Egyptian-themed one. So it's kind of cool.
I don't know, it's a little bright. I don't think I'd ever want to use that one in-game. Usually I'm favoring the darker HUDs, just so they're not as distracting. But I don't know. Let's see, what tournament's that from?
I don't recall. It's a bit of a newer one, and there was also like a Phantom Lancer set that looked kind of like an ancient Egyptian, like it was like the Jackal God or something. I don't remember the exact name. It's something from ancient Egyptian culture, and yeah, not sure what tournament it's from though. I just like it because it's kind of unique.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know. Let's see. Doesn't look like anybody has any interesting cosmetics. Not particularly.
I'm looking Razor, nothing. I think Ember Spirit has 2 blades, but other than that, okay. Somebody's back though, so all right, we don't have to keep BSing anymore. We can actually no, he's back,
Oh.
And now Invasion says wait.
Oh well, it happens. I don't know. Might have been better had they had, like, I don't know, at least 5 minutes of the game to already happen, so we could at least talk about the lanes and stuff. But as of now, we're just kind of waiting to see how this game is actually going to pan out.
We'll have to see. I'm looking at potential cosmetics from Invasion. This Bristleback, it's got some weird looking chitinous thing on his head. And Shadow Demon has the really cool appendages on the back of his head, as well as a pretty weird looking tail.
Yep. Oh no, Shadow Shaman does not have the immortal item.
No, he doesn't. A little disappointed.
Yeah, wanted
But
to see the sheep hex, but you know.
ooh, his hat though, and his the jug, granted for visiting the secret shop at the International. So that's pretty cool. And there's some pretty cool cosmetics on this Morphling as well, but... Alright, Imbalance says, G, they're good to go. And Invasion, I guess still waiting on one of them. Alright, they're good to go as well.
Now all that's left to do is to actually unpause the game. Looks like we're gonna get into this, finally.
Yes! We did it! We unpaused. It's happened.
It has. Well, it does look like they're at least going to make some aggressive rotations down the bottom lane on the side of Invasion to make sure that they secure control over the Radiant jungle. Probably just going to ward some of Enigma's camps as well as secure some vision down here before they actually settle down into an offensive tri-lane if they do so. As far as Imba's side is concerned, we have Treant Protector as well as Razor moving out towards the bottom lane. Enigma sitting mid, getting ready to deny one creep for a 7-7, and then in the off lane, we'll have Timbersaw probably just going for a bit of a ward himself, and that will be the case.
Yes, it will be. I guess it's okay if he puts it down, but he should at least be aware of the high potential for an offensive tri-lane if that's indeed what Invasion plan on doing. Putting down a few wards. They don't want to give this Enigma an easy time in the jungle, so that's completely understandable. Okay, there we go, yeah. Blocking some camps up. And that's just going to be, it'll be a little bit more annoying for Enigma to get his farm in the jungle, but if we actually look, he already has a sentry ward in his inventory, so smartly he's prepared for this, but it's up to him to kind of figure out where these sentry wards are being placed.
He should at least be able to get this one off of the large camp down closer towards the mid lane. I don't know, this one over here is a little bit unconventional. Usually you see the magic bush spot being warded for this large camp. So I'm not sure if he attempts to deward this one. I don't know, we'll have to see.
Yeah. Yeah, that one should be the easier one. And really, as long as he has, you know, those two camps, like, he can at least get, you know, a solid amount of farm throughout the earlier stages as he's lower on the levels. But, okay, the lanes look pretty standard from Imba. They're just going to put the Razor in the safe lane with the Treant helping him out. Of course, Enigma will be in the jungle, denying one of the creeps in the mid lane just to prevent, like, one extra creep of experience, helping out that Morphling. So just, you know, it's the small things that can make a difference over time. And we'll see the Ember Spirit versus that Morphling at the mid lane. Shadow Demon, we'll see if he kind of stays in this mid for a while, or if he just wants to kind of scare away this Ember Spirit for the time being, but he's not quite in range, so he won't be able to use that disruption.
I'm not sure it really would end up in a kill on 7-7. I think at best they can hope for a little bit of harass. Enigma was attempting to farm up this large camp here, probably just spotted that it was warded and will move over to the medium camp with that first set of Eidolons, I believe. So
Yep.
in mid lane, I don't know. Shadow Demon and Morphling just harassing away at the Ember Spirit. No disruption thrown out, was just a sleight of fist, I believe, for a CS coming out from the Ember Spirit, but it did fail. Not sure what that was. Down in bottom lane, we might have a little bit of action. Treant Protector doesn't have those boots first. The Link's going to be started on to Ghost, but he went for Living Armor level 1, so just again, a little bit more zoning. It looks like we're in for a fairly passive early game coming out from both teams.
Yeah, and Enigma, he'll just continue on his farm. He is using that Clarity. He's picked up a point in Malefice, as he is, of course, at level 2. I'm wondering if he may try the rotate on this Tidehunter if he gets too aggressive, but without the Leech Seed from Treant Protector, I don't necessarily see them taking out this Tidehunter. He's just probably a little bit too darn tanky, but he will get some damage stolen from him, at least for the time being. Only a little bit, though.
Yeah, he took a little bit of an interesting path here. Will Tango through the trees, and, well, I don't know, he's taking a lot of harass being punched down by both of these heroes, but with the Anchor Smash, he's actually playing very aggressively up against Jennifer. Jennifer, he only needs a little bit more damage, and he'll be able to get the kill with the Anchor Smash. too aggressive coming out from the Razor. Will Tidehunter be able to make it out alive? He's tangoing through the trees yet again. He's trying to find a path, and he'll be able to get out alive, it seems. I don't know.
Wow, I actually expected that Treant. He hit level 2 kind of in the middle of that fight. He could have used Leech Seed to finish off the Tidehunter, but really was kind of afraid of him, even though he still had at least like a bit over a third of his health left. So, weird moves, I feel, from the Treant Protector. It's just kind of unfortunate that Razor not really respecting that Anchor Smash enough from the Tidehunter. Now he's managed to pick up level 3.
Yeah, definitely. He's getting his damage sapped under the tower, 35, and with the Plasma Field, it will be enough to notch a kill. At least a return kill for this lane, but getting the first blood solo on your offlaner is definitely a good thing for Invasion. So all said and done, I'd say they'd be happy with that trade. Also, Ember Spirit really not farming very well in this mid lane, 5-3 compared to the Morphling, 16-5, and whoa, Bristleback's going to die as well, so a lot of hate going on to these offlaners as Timbersaw notches himself that kill. Whoa, whoa, no, the offlaners both getting solo kills.
Oh, interesting. I can see it a little bit more likely for the Timbersaw. I was expecting Razor to not die so easily to this Tidehunter. Yeah, it's actually turned out to just be dual lanes in a weird way. It's dual mid and dual top, and just, you know, kind of putting the Tidehunter in this off lane. I would expect that to kind of go pretty darn well for this Bristle, as well as the Shadow Shaman, but they're not going to be able to necessarily zone out the Timbersaw, I feel, at least you know, too often. So it's actually kind of a little bit unconventional but cool way to handle these lanes from Invasion.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, making sure that the Ember Spirit doesn't really get all that much, and similarly for the Timbersaw. Timbersaw was forced to walk back to the base, and, well, Tidehunter has a full level up on him. 4 on the Timbersaw as well as level 5 up on the Tidehunter. Enigma's continuing to farm away in the jungle. Although CS isn't super great, he does have that Soul Ring, so he'll have pretty much infinite mana. Shadow Demon going to get Disruption on the river, looking for this haste rune. He'll be able to pick it up and should be able to get out alive with Ace. He's actually going to make a little bit of a turn. Morphling's rotating in as well. Don't think they'll be able to get into here. In fact, the Eidolon's doing a decent amount of damage, but so is the Shadow Demon. It looks like Shadow Demon's going to be able to chase down Enigma. Malphite's thrown up, but it's not going to be enough. Shadow Demon gets a kill on the Enigma with that haste rune. No boots on Enigma, and not really a great way for him to start out this game.
Yeah, and during that entire big action, it looks like Tidehunter and Razor were kind of fighting each other back and forth. Tidehunter did get a lot of his damage stolen, but Razor still was, I guess, taking too much damage from Anchor Smash as well as Gush. And also, interestingly enough, this Tidehunter's picked up a bottle, so that'll give him, you know, as much mana as he needs, essentially, to spam that Anchor Smash throughout this lane and kind of keep his presence felt and keep the supports kind of at least somewhat close in helping out this Razor.
Yeah, definitely. He hasn't stacked up his Ancients just yet, but eventually he might be able to farm those up. In mid, and Morphling, he took the chains, but he's going to be just fine. Has way 4 mana. Things got really sketchy for him, and this Ember Spirit's actually going for a fairly older build, going for the Chain Sleight of Fist build, which was heavily nerfed in the last patch. We'll have to see how he's going to put it to use. Usually you're seeing the Flame Guard more picked up, just because of the damage potential in the mid game.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I guess for the Sleight of Fist, actually a little bit of action hitting him. I'm assuming the reason for this is because once you get a few extra points in Sleight of Fist, it gives you, I guess, decently more burst damage over the Flame Guard, and against a hero like Morphling that can easily kind of toggle between strength and agility, that extra burst can be the difference or the damage you need in order to actually kill him and take him out. So, yeah, it's definitely unconventional, but really the only magic damage that Morphling is doing in the early stages is from Waveform. And for this Ember Spirit, I'm actually okay with him doing this build, but normally I'm a big fan of maxing out that Flame Guard, getting 2 points in chains before moving into that Sleight of Fist.
Yeah, definitely. In this game, at least, both offlaners doing very well. Timbersaw going to need a couple of Cool Spray stacks from the Timbersaw, or excuse me, Bristleback up in the top lane, but in the end, yeah, I don't know. Mostly these kills have been isolated in their respective lanes, and we haven't seen any huge rotations, but Shadow Demon is rotating back towards the mid lane. Will drop a ward. Not sure if that was spotted out by Imba, but at the very least, they should know that the Shadow Demon is there. It is nighttime, so maybe they didn't see him after all, and Timbersaw gets a kill up in top lane. Now he's chasing down the Bristleback. Will he be able to chase this one down with Chakram? Looks like he will, and indeed he'll be able to get a double kill in the top lane as an offlaner. Dying to the tower, definitely not a big deal for him after picking up those two, and I don't know, these offlaners are getting away with a lot more than I'd expect them to.
Yeah, I think that Timbersaw actually didn't even need the Timber Chain. I think he kind of wanted that as like insurance to assure the kill, but he would have actually survived that fight if he just didn't use Timber Chain. He would have killed off the Bristleback with his Chakram. Just that alone. Also continuing, there was a lot of pressure in the mid lane as well during that fight, but still this Ember Spirit, he's a-okay. He even has a healing salve in his inventory if he actually needs it for this fight. But still, 3 points in the chains, 3 into Sleight of Fist. Kind of weird that he put that extra point into Searing Chains, considering that you don't get that full duration until you have 4 points into it. It's just 1 second, then 2, and then finally 3 at the final level, instead of maxing out Sleight of Fist first. That's what I would expect of him, but I guess not the biggest deal in the world, just something to note. And yeah, this Timbersaw, though, it's kind of weird that he's able to do so much damage in this off lane. The Shadow Shaman is, I guess, really easy to kind of pick off for the Timbersaw, and he may actually go on him once more.
Yeah, he's going up top lane, he drops the Chakram, it will get the slow, he's going to be hexed up, but he's still got the Whirling Death off. He's going to go for the Timber Chain and gets another kill up in this top lane. He's going to try to fighting up against this Bristleback, but it looks like he's just going to retreat with those Quill Spray stacks stacking up on him. There is going to be the Soul Catcher onto the Timbersaw. He's going to be able to Timber Chain towards the south. In the meantime, Enigma gets killed on the Tidehunter, and it looks like they're going to be able to get this Timbersaw at least in return. He's going to Timber Chain up towards the north, and Shadow Demon, he's falling low, but in the end, the right clicks will be enough to punish the Timbersaw for getting that Shadow Demon, but still, I don't know, Timbersaw doing wonderfully in this top lane, even though he's given up 2 kills.
Yeah, Timbersaw, I feel like he can still get a lot of these kills and not necessarily die. It was unfortunate that Shadow Demon picked up, I believe, an invisibility rune and kind of came to top at that point. Maybe if he skilled up his build a little bit differently, like 1 or 2 less points in the Timber Chain, another one into reactive armor, it maybe could give him a little bit more survivability to survive, and especially against a hero like Bristleback that's spamming out Quill Spray, I wouldn't be opposed to putting an extra point into that reactive armor. But, I mean, still, the results speak for themselves. He's doing excellent in this lane, 4 and 2. He has 31 last hits, and in an offlane scenario, certainly not that bad, but it looks like we're going to have a smoke rotation to the mid lane from the supports on Imba.
Yeah, definitely. Morphling, he's trying to strength morph here. They're going to drop the Midnight Pulse instead of going for the Black Hole. He's going to catch him on the edge, and Shadow Demon actually TP'd into that. It looks like they're going to be able to get 2 kills. Let's see if they'll be able to chase down the Shadow Demon. Another TP coming out from the Tidehunter under the tower. Ember Spirit looking for this kill. He's going to be caught out by the Soul Catcher as well. There's going to be the double spells coming out from the Tidehunter, and it looks like Ember Spirit's going to die for being greedy going for that Shadow Demon, but yeah. Living Armor going to keep him alive for now. The poison's stacking up and will eat through another charge, but I think he's going to be okay. Treant Protector is rotating in. Another gush coming out from the Tidehunter. It's still not going to do enough damage. Now the Anchor Smash thrown out pretty much just in spite against the Treant Protector, but in the end, a nice Living Armor will keep 7-7 alive, excuse me.
This Treant Protector was totally the MVP of that fight. At the perfect timings, he was able to put down that armor. They've also spotted the regeneration rune in the top lane to give to this Ember Spirit. So despite that fight, he's a-okay, already back in the lane at 100% health with full bottle charges. This is, I mean, as an Ember Spirit, I know he's got to be feeling really happy about what happened just there, but Treant Protector even did a little bit of body blocking as well against that Tidehunter who was kind of chasing him down, just to make sure that the Ember Spirit could get away while some other people on his team kind of guarded the top rune for him. So overall, Imba showing some very nice teamwork throughout these fights.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know, Silent GG, he's been rotating a lot more than you usually see Enigmas, and that has harmed his farm a little bit, especially giving up that kill very early on, but he does have the 2 components towards the mechanism as well as the buckler. Whoa, up top. Bristleback looks like he just ate a combo of spells from the Timbersaw's, dropped to lower than half health, and he needs to be careful, but I guess so does the Timbersaw. No, he doesn't. He's going to chalk him in. The mechanism is on the Bristleback, and they're going to try to make a turn here. He needs to be careful. Shackles will hold him in place, and Bristleback's hanging around here. He will back off with that extra movement speed. He'll be just fine in the end. So good reaction coming out from the Shadow Shaman will keep the Bristleback alive, and, well, had he not had that mechanism, should have been an easy kill for the Timbersaw, but in the end, going to save his life.
Yeah, the mechanism that Bristleback recently picked up was a huge part of him surviving that fight. And I noticed Shadow Shaman actually had level 6 with 12 minutes into the game. Pretty decent level-wise, but they have been dual laning after all. And it was kind of unfortunate that Shadow Shaman, he had under 500 mana. He couldn't use all his spells that he wanted to in addition to the Serpent Wards. I think it would have probably been a kill on that Timber Saw if he was able to kind of like ward trap him or something in that location.
Yeah. I don't know, they did give the lane to the Tree Protector for a little bit in the absence of the Timber Size. It was forced back to base. But eventually they are just going to rotate back into their lanes and be just fine. As far as this early game is concerned, I'd say that Imba are... they're not doing poorly. I think this is still anybody's game. We'll go ahead and look at the gold graph, and it's a slight advantage towards Imba. But still, nothing unsurmountable. As far as gold is concerned, it's very limited. Possibly just a 1,000 gold lead for Imba. But a lot of that's being stymied by Morphling farming away down in bottom lane. They're going to drop the Ravage onto 2 Serpent Wards also to follow up. They're trying to focus down this Tree Protector, eating through that living armor charges, and they will be able to get that kill, but I don't know, Tidehunter held up by those Searing Chains. They throw the Disruption defensively onto the Shadow Demon. Tidehunter hiding through the trees. They will get vision of it. Now the Bristlebacks joining the fray as well. 4 heroes here. The mechanism will get through a lot of that damage. In the end, I believe that's a 2-for-0 trade in the favor of Invasion, and also a tier 1 tower possibly going their way. Unfortunately for them, the Serpent Wards aren't in range of this tier 1. But looks like they're going to TP back mid, possibly trying to stop this Morphling, but he'll be able to back off. I don't know.
Yeah, the wards are nearby the towers, so if for some reason the defense came, they could still just kind of back off a little bit and force the enemy team to fight near the towers, but they'll still get the tower. Good plays by Invasion, really coming back into this game completely, evening it up, maybe even giving them a slight advantage, and it was just really unfortunate that Timbersaw wasn't there for that fight. He's already got his level 6, he is at level 10, so actually above everybody else in the game. I think his presence could have certainly been felt in that fight if he decided to join his team, him and maybe even Ward the Ember Spirit. Either one of them could have made a big difference there. It's just not enough people there. And now we see just some aggressive warding from Invasion, and this Razor actually kind of needs to be careful in the bottom lane, or he could end up just becoming fish food.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know, a lot of those heroes got very low, especially before the Bristleback rotated in with that mechanism for his team. So yeah, as you said, if Timbersaw or Ember Spirit were there to drop like one Sleight of Fist or just a Chakram, as well as Whirling Death, that probably could have led into a couple of kills. So far we have a little bit of a smoke rotation coming out from the Imba team. They didn't catch the Timbersaw, and all of us are leading out with the Enigma, who does have the Black Hole off of cooldown. Let's see if they're going to be able to find a good initiation here. Morphling's hiding in the jungle with the Shadow Demon. I don't know. They have the Replicate scouting out a little bit, and it looks like they're going to change targets towards this top lane. Bristleback is going to be the one that's going to eat this gank, it seems. He's pushing out very aggressively. It looks like he's just going to be caught out completely. Don't think they'll need to use the Black Hole for this. Timber Chain going to be off the mark from the Timbersaw, and they're not doing enough damage to start things off. Mechanism will delay things for a little bit longer, and yeah, in the end, easy kill on the Bristleback. Can't really do much against those 4 heroes, but tier 1 tower in the mid lane going to take some heavy pressure. They're going through a disruption defensively on the Shadow Team. Not sure what that was about. It will just set up the Chakram. Hex going the way of the Timbersaw. He's completely out of mana. Really can't follow this one up. They're TPing with more heroes. Will the Sleight of Fist be there from the Ember Spirit? Trying to catch with the Shadow Shaman. It will be enough to get that kill. Tier 1 tower is going to be destroyed by the Shadow Shaman. Here's the Ravage going to catch out 3 heroes. Timbersaw going to die before he can get the Timber Chain off. Living armor will be dropped on the Ember Spirit. It looks like he'll be able to back off safely. In the end, a 2-for-2 trade, but tier 1 tower goes the way of Invasion.
Yeah, just, putting down the wards, it makes it so hard for Imba to really kind of fight at that location. I'd say if you had a tower and wards at the same location, barring TPs, the wards are going to give you more DPS and going to be more annoying because they're kind of harder to focus and kill all of them. So that in combination with this, the Tidehunter going in there, and pretty much this Ember Spirit was like just completely out of mana throughout most of that team fight, and people kind of getting picked off left and right. It just turned into a better and better scenario for Invasion, and I believe that Imba, they wanted to take out that top tower, but all of that action happening at mid lane kind of prevented them from fulfilling that role.
Yeah, I don't know. Looks like Morphling's heading towards that Lincoln Sphere with the Perseverance finished. I'm not sure how I feel about this item choice this game. There's really not a lot of single target stuff that really bothers Morphling that needs to block. Maybe the static link coming out from the Razor as well as the Malefice. But I don't know, Malefice really isn't that significant for a Morphling. You can just wave forward away or have time to get your Replicate off. They don't really have the greatest lockdown to keep this Morphling in place, so I'm not sure exactly why the Lincoln Sphere is his choice this game. I think just going, I don't know, maybe even just like a Rush Shotgun or Manta style or something along those lines would be better. But I guess the stats are always nice for a Morphling.
Yep, the stats are great. I mean, it's just like a safe item to get. Looks like we're gonna have some action top lane. They're already putting down the static link onto the Shadow Shaman.
Yeah, and then the Overgrowth is going to follow up. They're stealing so much damage from the Shadow Shaman, almost that full duration Black Hole. Going to be dropped on the Tidehunter, but it's going to be cancelled pretty much instantly. All of the damage going to be returned onto the Bristleback, and this Razor is just hitting like an absolute truck. They're trying to chase down this Morphling. With that Ghost Scepter finish, he will be able to delay a lot of that damage. Tidehunter waiting in the trees here. Still 25 seconds of cooldown on the Ravage, and the Tier 1 tower is very low. They're going to drop the Midnight Pulse, and yet another round of damage going to be stolen by Jennifer. However, it's not that much, but now the Timbersaw, as well as the Ember Spirit, going to be able to lock down two heroes. Morphling is offensively going in, Jennifer falling low, but the Timbersaw just going to be able to clean house. The slow going the way of the Morphling. He doesn't have a lot of mana to speak of, and the cooldowns there. Disruption, there's not going to be a Soul Catcher, it's not going to latch, and now the Timber Chain North, Replicate away by the Morphling, going to get him to the back lines of this fight to be safe, but now Shadow Demon, excuse me, going to be chased down. They don't have enough mana for the chains, and the Chakram going to be off the mark, but it looks like they might decide to dive this. Eventually 7-7 will just back off, and they'll be happy that they got the Tier 1 tower.
Dire's top tower's gone.
So, Imba, they're coming back, man. They had kind of a bad team fight at that middle tower, but this one definitely went much better their way. I think a big part of that was Ember Spirit. He made the decision to kind of quickly teleport home, leave a remnant nearby in that team fight, and then as soon as he regenerated all of his mana, he just went back to that the fire remnant. And they kind of were able to avoid the Mass Serpent Wards throughout most of that fight as well. So, as Imba definitely showing a much better showing than in that mid-tower fight a little bit earlier into the match. And when all said and done, that's given them a 4K experience advantage. But the gold is still slightly in Invasion's favor, but only by about just under 2,000. So it's still relatively a very even game between these two teams.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know, they gave a lot of room to this Morphling early, but he just hasn't been able to do anything with it. He has a casual Perseverance as well as a Ghost Scepter, and that's about all he has to show. Maybe if he wanted to go for these bigger items, starting out with a Midas would have been a better option for him, just to make sure that he remains relevant in this game, but as it stands, he's just not doing anything. The Tier 1 tower up in top is going to follow these Serpent Wards, it seems. No backdoor protection on here, and they should be able to take this without a fuss, and it looks like Imba are just going to give it away. So no big surprises there.
Yeah, they were out of position. Black Hole was down. There's really nothing they can do to save it. So I'm not surprised they just said, okay, you know what, you put down the wards, we'll let you guys have it. And yeah, as far as this Morphling is concerned, I feel like he's just not that much of an early game hero. Sometimes with good rotations and supports, you can kind of get a kill here and there just with a bit of burst coming out from the Morphling. But you need to get your items online. You need to get your levels in order for him to be truly effective. And I know you were mentioning earlier that I know Lincoln Sphere maybe not the best choice here. There's not a lot of single target spells coming out from Imba's team, and I do agree with you. And with the Ghost Scepter pickup, I think maybe we've seen this Morphling kind of realize that as well, and he's saying, you know what, alright guys, I'll just go for the E-Blade, it's fine. I'll get the shotgun, and I'll start dishing out that insane burst damage to help out my team in team fights.
Yeah, I don't know, up in top lane, the Timbersaw is going to be spotted out by two heroes from Invasion, but in the end they really can't go for him, and he'll just be able to back off. So, both teams just going to back off and farm for a little bit longer. Silent GG has picked up that mechanism and is looking to be saving towards that Blink Dagger for these next couple of engagements. They do have the Black Hole as well as the Ravage off of cooldown for both teams, so it looks like they're going to be ready to fight very shortly. As far as the Ember Spirit's farm is concerned, looks like he's saving up towards that Battle Fury after the early mid-game stat items, the Aquila drums as well as phase boots on his person, so he will have the Claymore finished there.
Yeah, I believe that I saw Imba, they played the Ember Spirit yesterday, if I recall, and they went for that drums and Aquila as well last time. If not, then it was just, I guess, another player, but it seems that I haven't seen both of those items at the same time too much on Ember Spirit, and generally just like bottle drums phase into the Battle Fury. Well, as I say that, more importantly, it looks like Roshan will be taken down by Invasion. They do have that dire advantage, making it a lot easier for them to teleport nearby the pit, and especially with the wards and the tankiness from their team, it's just an easy kill at this point in the game to get Roshan.
Yeah, definitely will secure that map objective for themselves as the game was cooling down. It looked like Imba might have wanted to go into the pit. They were kind of positioning on their side of the river, but it just fell too fast and they don't have a way to jump in and get that initiation. Blink Dagger almost finished it by the Enigma, but they wouldn't have had that for that next fight. And it looks like Enigma will decide now whether he wants that Blink Dagger, and he will decide to pick that up in the end.
Really, Enigma, he still needs to get a Black King bar. Like, if you look at Invasion's lineup, they have so many spells that can do a lot of damage or disable, but nothing really goes through BKB. So, as long as he has that online and he gets a good Black Hole, there's pretty much nothing that can stop him on Invasion's end. So, I do kind of wish that the Razor would pick up the mech, but instead he just decided to go for Treads, got Drums of Endurance, and then an earlier Black King bar instead of that utility item, which, I mean, both heroes can pick it up, but I would have been a little bit happier seeing the BKB on Enigma, but at the end of the day, these guys are the pros, and I'm pretty sure that they're comfortable with the choices they're making.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I don't know, Timbersaw, we haven't really seen him for very long. I don't know, he's just been farming up, working towards that Bloodstone. It's going to be fairly late, especially considering the start he had after picking up 4 kills in lane. He just hasn't been able to pick up any of the last hits. He does have the Bloodstone completed now, so we will have that for the next fight, if he decides to disassemble the Arcane Boots, which I would expect him to do.
Yeah, it would be kind of weird. Okay, he's doing it now. There he goes. He's switching them all up. The Bracer is kind of an interesting choice in Timbersaw. Generally, this hero is tanky enough that you don't really need that item, but I guess you just wanted a little bit of extra beefiness in the earlier stages of the game. So he went ahead and he got that, which I think also kind of delayed his Bloodstone by maybe like 2 or 3 minutes as well. But based on him doing so good earlier on, I did kind of expect that item in the stages of the game. Also, important items to note, Shadow Shaman's picked up a Blink Dagger, and this Tidehunter has both Blink and a Force Staff. So there's a lot of good utility items online, and Morphling's already finished up his Ethereal Blade. So definitely an important item to pick up.
Timbersaw being caught out in the top lane, going to be shackled. As he was trying to Timber Chain away, we have the Black Hole maybe thrown out by the Enigma. He's going to Malphus up the Shadow Demon. He will be able to get the Disruption off, and the Shadow Demon's just going to fall too quickly. We'll get from the Tidehunter. He's going to get the Ravage onto 3 heroes, I believe, and just look at the damage coming out from them. Overgrowth thrown up, but it's not going to do enough. It's starting out as a 3 for 2 exchange. Morphling man fighting up against them. He does have the Ethereal Blade available. Mechanism will keep him in fighting shape for a little bit longer, and he's going to blow up the Razor with that Ethereal Blade that he picked up earlier. And, well, Aegis not spent by Invasion. They should be able to take this tier 2 tower as well. Serpent Wards were dropped away from the towers yet again, so they won't have that pushing power. But still, a fairly convincing teamfight win for Invasion.
Yeah, they just traded both of their supports for both supports of Imba as well as the Razor. So that's definitely a trade that Invasion's happy with. They'll most likely get this tier 2 tower as well, just giving them more map control. But Timbersaw
Ember Spirit, he's going in. They're going to blow up the Tidehunter. They might be able to get him. No, the Magical Nuke is getting the Morphling low as well. He'll be able to remnant away towards the mid lane. TP attempt from the Bristleback. They don't cancel it in time. No, there's the Searing Chains coming out from the Ember Spirit. They'll be able to pick up 2 kills in the tree from this tier 2 tower as well as save it for now. I don't know, the tower isn't in deny range, unfortunately, but with the Tree and Protector, it doesn't really matter. They'll be able to heal that one up safely, and, well, I believe that was a favorable trade all said and done for Imba.
Yeah, they kind of had a nice recovery there, and they even saved the tower. That's, like, the insane part. That was pretty much supposed to fall. I believe they used the glyph to save it, and now they can just slowly heal it over time with that Tree and Protector's living armor. So that's, I guess, a really good thing for them. But this Morphling has double damage rune, and he's completed his Lincoln Sphere. So now Morphling, 200 last hits. He's 4, 1, and 2 this game. At this point, the Morphling is completely online, and he's looking damn scary.
Yeah, especially if you're one of these supports like the Treant Protector or the Enigma, especially since the Enigma does not have that Black King bar finish. Enigma only sitting at 1000 HP. With the mechanism, you can say that he has 1250, but still, for Morphling, that's no real amount of HP to save you. With an Ethereal Blade Adaptive Strike combo with Waveform on top, and then maybe a couple of right clicks, he's still going to blow him up incredibly fast. We might have an initiation here. I don't know, they've spotted out the Shadow Demon as well as the Shadow Shaman with these Eidolons. They're not going to initiate on that, and in the end, Imba just going to back off.
Meanwhile, this Ember Spirit, he actually has a cooldown on his Revenants at the top lane, which means this Tidehunter, we'll see if we can actually take him out, or at least kind of, you know, stall a little bit for the rest of his team to come by, but this was actually to end up being a bad thing as this Ember Spirit's getting surrounded by, at all ends by Invasion.
And on top of that, a streak going to be given the way of the Tidehunter, a mega kill one at that. So 700 gold in the pocket of the Tide. After just getting completely collapsed on, you had like heroes coming from the north, from the south, from every direction. Completely surrounded. No real way for him to run.
Yeah, Morphling, I was expecting him to take out more of the stacked Ancient Camp to prevent the Ember Spirit from farming it with his Battle Fury, but he just killed off one of them and went to the top lane. I think he may just want to push that out a little bit more. He wants to finish up the tier 2 tower, but I mean, look at the living armor. We've already seen the health that's regenerated. It's pretty much up to about, you know, 75-80% health now, despite almost being in deny range at that last team fight.
Yeah, definitely. Bristleback has finished himself up a Black King bar, presumably for the Timbersaw, so that magical burst does not take him out of the fight instantly, which, I don't know, has been the case for quite some time, so I think it's a warranted pickup, although they have plenty of lockdown that does go through BKB with the Overgrowth as well as the Black Hole, so he's still not immune. Ethereal Blade Shotgun thrown onto the Timbersaw, I don't know, maybe just showing him that he still has it. And now they're going to drop the Black Hole onto the Morphling, but he has the Aegis, he's going to come back. They dropped all of the Remnants onto that as well. Morphling should be able to get out a second time, and they're not going to hang around. Not sure. Whoa, did the Aegis expire? That was pretty close if it did. That's an actual kill on the Morphling, so it looks like Imba just had their timings on point. Didn't actually spot out when that expired, but still very well played, and in the end, Treant Protector, he's stalking Shadow Shaman as well as Shadow Demon. But not going to throw out any spells. And the mid lane push is going to start coming out. Timbersaw getting a lot of burst onto this Tidehunter. Now BKB popped by Jennifer. He's going to be able to steal a decent amount of damage here. They're trying to chase down the Tidehunter on the bottom lines of this fight. And they'll be able to get that kill in the end. Now, I don't know, tier 1 tower in the mid lane should fall fairly easily. Not a whole lot that they can do to defend against this. The buyback status is not there for the Tidehunter, so they won't have the Ravage for this next fight. And it looks like Imba are going to be able to take the tier 2 on top of that.
Yeah, the Morphling will be back in about 10 seconds, but if they really want to defend this, they have to commit everybody, and without the Tidehunter ultimate, it's going to be hard to defend. It's a tall order. Maybe they can make something happen, but nah, this tower's gone.
Well, let's see if they catch anybody out. Blink attempt by the Shadow Shaman, not going to be able to get the Hex or the Shackles off onto anybody. And in the end, pretty much just a free tier 2 tower, as well as a tier 1, and 2 pickoffs going the way of Imba, so a good turn of events for them. And on top of that, Razor finishes up the Aghanim Scepter on top of the BKB. He's going to be very tanky in these next couple of engagements, seeing about 2200 HP. And, well, it looks like Enigma, not sure what he's going to pick up, but I'd presume that Black King bar for himself.
Yeah, he's saved up a decent amount of gold so far, but still a ways away, I suppose. Morphling now has a Yash in his inventory, so working most likely towards a Manta style, just to kind of give him those extra illusions, and you know, the illusions will really benefit a lot from that base agility that Morphling will have as well, so that can still actually dish out a decent amount of damage for illusions. I also want to note that Razor, with that Aghanim Scepter, he's going to turn into a pushing machine when it comes to these tier 3 towers. If Invasion lose a team fight and Razor has his ultimate available or used it in a fight and he's nearby a tower, the towers are just going to completely explode.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know, it's something that is possible, but I haven't seen Invasion do it in this game. You can make a Morphling replicate if you do disrupt the Morphling, and I would like to see them do that just because of the amount of base damage that Morphling can pump out with that illusion that he can create. And so I think with that Disruption Manta as well as the Replicate on top of that, they'll have a lot of pushing power as well as just the ability to fight. We're going to have a double smoke going to be popped on the Shadow Demon as well as the Razor. They throw the Chakram into the pit. Roshan's not going to respawn for 50 seconds. And it looks like both teams just going to back off after spotting each other out.
So basically a smoke for smoke, and nothing really came of it either way. I don't anticipate the smoke will do too much coming out from Invasion, but this Bristleback, Oh, maybe I'll eat my own words. He's still being very aggressive, looking around, trying to find his opponents. But at least Invasion, they will have decent positioning as Roshan comes around. But now the smoke's revealed, and it looks like there could be a bit of a skirmish here, but both teams end up kind of just backing off. And I would expect Roshan, that's the goal for Invasion at this time.
Yeah, no, Morphling, he's going to say hi to the Timbersaw, then replicate into the enemy jungle as well. And, well, looks like they're going to be posturing around Roshan Pit, or at least dominating, or exerting their dominance over this portion of the map. With these wards drop down inside the enemy jungle, they'll know exactly where Imba is during this next engagement. Roshan has respawned, but for now they're feeling it's not safe enough to go for that. They'll go for the tier 2 instead in bottom lane, which is about at half health, which is a little bit unusual, especially considering that they have a Train Protector on the enemy side, another smoke being popped. They're looking for initiation race. They're not going to be able to get in range to do anything, and it looks like another smoke pretty much wasted. They do have Invis up on the Enigma, so looking for a perfect initiation with this Blink Black Hole. Maybe they'll be able to find it. Timbersaw, he's going in very aggressively, gets a slow. Malphus thrown out onto the Bristleback. They'll be able to steal some damage. Disruption's just going to secure more damage for Jennifer, excuse me. And now BKB popped out by the Bristleback. He's trying to run away, but 224 damage stolen. Will he be able to chase anybody down? It doesn't look like an Ethereal Blade is being thrown out, but Jennifer's still at half health and now being healed up by the mechanism, as well as the Living Armor. Chakram Slow going onto the way of the Bristleback. They're going to chain him in place and blow him up. The BKB was already spent. Shadow Shaman also in a bit of a pickle here, drops the Hex, and now the Ravage thrown up by the Tidehunter. They might be able to drop Jennifer here. Morphling rotating in, but the Black Hole going to catch out to buyback from the Shadow Shaman, trying to get back into this fight. Shadow Demon trying his best to run away, but I don't think it's going to be enough. Overgrowth spent for good measure. Defensive Disruption just going to delay the inevitable, and they'll be able to blow him up. In the end, Imba convincingly winning that fight. Jennifer is still alive, and they're just going to barrel down towards this tier 1 and presumably the tier 2. Shadow Shaman already dropped the wards. Nothing he can do to counterpush this, except for maybe throw out a couple of Ether Shocks. But in the end, Imba coming out on top heavily.
Imba, excellent initiation from the Timbersaw. He saw an opportunity to get between like 3 of their members, and let's not forget he has a Hood of Defiance as well as a Bloodstone. This guy is 2k health-wise and extremely tanky, so he's the person that Imba wants to kind of get focused and burned on their team, while everyone else comes in and starts doing damage. Jennifer using that BKB essentially made him almost unkillable. The positioning and the initiation was much better for Imba, which allowed them to kind of get the jump on Invasion. And at the end of the day, they took the team fight pretty convincingly, and now they're going to get Roshan as well. They even killed a Courier! I don't know what the heck that Dire's Courier was doing, but that was certainly a mistake on Invasion's end.
I think they were just desperate to try to scout out into the pit, as they didn't have anything else to throw in Vision, but they just didn't stop it when they were microing it into the pit, and I'm not even sure what good it would do. They knew they were doing Roshan. There's very little else that Imba could be doing. I don't know. A very interesting choice by them, and in the end, even more gold in the pockets of Imba.
Yeah, I think that was just maybe some type of a mistake. Even if they wanted to scout it, they could just kind of hover around the edges of the Roshan pit, but they kind of like sent it like right past Roshan's, like the Courier flew past Roshan's face, and then Imba saw it and they're like, okay, well, thanks for the free Courier kill. So at the end of the day, still a pretty big mistake from Invasion, something that you wouldn't expect to happen. And just looking at the EXP and gold graph, we're seeing Imba take a huge experience lead, now up to 14,000 advantage as far as experience goes, and gold advantage a lot closer. It's 5k from them.
Morphling just tried to use the Ethereal Blade Shotgun onto Jennifer, but just didn't do anything. In fact, he took more damage just from the unstable current, and Razor's still looking fairly healthy at about half health. I don't know. It's just feeling pretty bad for Invasion. With the pipe pickup on Timbersaw especially, this Morphling just can't burst down even a single target, which is usually what you expect out of your carry Morphling. And Imba has so many important targets that he needs to focus down. If he doesn't kill the Timbersaw, he's going to completely wreck the Bristleback and Tidehunter. And then you have the Razor, who's stealing consistently 200 damage in these team fights and just does too much. And now the Ember Spirit with the Daedalus Battle Fury, they just need too many things to happen in these team fights. They need the perfect Tidehunter initiation with the Serpent Wards, which really haven't been felt very much in these in these fights, as the Serpent Wards have been put on the backlines of the fights and just haven't been in the midst of it. They need to get like I think at least 3 people in the Ravage with the Serpent Wards hitting on people in order to win a team fight. But for now, even with a very farmed Morphling, it just doesn't feel enough for Invasion.
Yeah, the biggest, I think, problem for Invasion now is that Imba, they've picked up the Black King bar on Enigma, Ember Spirit he's been a little quiet this game, but slowly getting more and more kills. He's now actually 7-1 and 8 this game, so doing a really good job. And with the, like you said earlier, the Daedalus pickup as well as that Battle Fury and an Aegis, this guy, there's no way you can lock him down in a team fight. It's just not happening. And they're gonna even
Black
use the
hole
black
up
hole.
top, and Morphling just gets blown up. He was Agimorph. Definitely worth a big ultimate for that, and they'll be able to pick up a very important kill. Without the Morphling, there's very little hope for Invasion to defend against this push. And Tier 2 Tower is as good as dead, and they might just go high ground. They have the Aegis, and Train Protector might make this more. He catches out both of the supports. Overgrowth only lands on the Shadow Demon, but it should be enough to get this kill at least. Defensive Disruption, again, going to delay things for now, but he's going to be blown up. 2 kills going the way of Imba. Let's see. Buyback is available for the Morphling. They might force this out, which would be huge for them.
The Dire might want
I don't even think they're going to try to save this tier 2. Well, they use the fortification on it. Yeah, they're gonna have to buy back with Morphling if they really want to save this tower. I don't see it happening. Shadow Shaman's on the other side of the map, trying, I think, desperately to split push this bottom tower, maybe to say, Imba, you guys need the back away for now. But smartly, he does teleport here, and yeah, they're gonna move up to the high ground. We'll see if they can get this tower.
Yeah, Serpent Wards are there, but they just can't do anything. The pipe's deployed. Tier 3 tower is going to fall. It's going to cost them not spending that buyback on the Morphling. It looks like the melee barracks are also going to die. They're kind of splitting their focus. The range barracks is for sure going to fall, and they might just stay here for both buildings. There's no huge reason not to. I don't know. They are missing a lot of their ultimates. Timber Chain is going to be off the mark from Timbersaw. They will just back off in the end of that. Morphling is joining the fray, sending that replicant forward. They're going to steal damage from the Bristleback. He's going to be forced to run away. Now the chain's onto 2. Just look at that crit on the Shadow Shaman. Ravage is going to be fairly good. They're trying to focus down the Ember Spirit. He's going to lose the Aegis, but just look at the Razor finish things up. There's the refresher on the Tidehunter, but he's not able to pop the second Ravage. The Thrower Blade popped onto the Tree and Protector, but he's still not dying. Bristleback is dividing their focus. They'll be able to get that kill with the Timber Chain, but in the end, 3 heroes down. And, well, they might be able to catch out more. They at least get the kill on the Ember Spirit for a second time. And, well, Imba, they might decide to back off here after the buybacks from the Bristleback. Oh no, they're going to jump in yet again, but Tidehunter doesn't have his ultimate a second time. Now Timbersaw is joining the fray. Bristleback might just die back here. He's not going to find a tree to latch to up on the high ground. He's going to slow him down with the Chakram, start pulling him up with the Whirling Death, and there's the nuke damage that they needed. And with that Razor ultimate popped yet again by Jennifer, they'll be able to take the melee barracks completely said and done, and now they're rotating towards mid. Invasion they don't have anything left in the tank. Manta style on the Morphling, but what's it really going to do?
It's not enough. They can delay this game a little bit longer potentially, and indeed, they will push away Imba from their Tier 3 tower at the mid lane, but the damage has been done. Tier 3 tower as well as both sets of barracks have been destroyed. I noticed Imba, they took out the range before the melee, and if they actually just focused on the melee, they could have killed that off. So, a little unfortunate that they didn't do that, and I think they could have even saved the Ember Spirit if they decided to just focus that down and then get back a little bit sooner. But still, Invasion, they came in with a really good Ravage, which I think helped them out a lot in that fight, but still, it wasn't enough. Imba's got too much farm on their end. I mean, the score is 30 kills to 14. It's a huge difference in kills as well as experience, so we're at the end of the day, we're just seeing Imba. They have more farmed heroes, and it really is making the difference in these team fights.
Yeah, definitely, and Timbersaw has a 19 charge Bloodstone, so he's probably the happiest Timbersaw alive, infinite mana in these team fights, and can just throw out his spells with really no risk of losing his life. He's just so darn tanky, and they can't take him down with that Pipe of Insight on him. Razor's picked up the Heart of Tarrasque, also sitting at a ridiculous amount of HP, and there's just nothing that Invasion can do to kill him.
Yeah, I hope he picks up a Refresher's Orb next, just so we can get double Eye of the Storm. We have seen Tidehunter pick up a Refresher Orb, which I believe he did end up using in that last team fight. And even then, it's still, it wasn't really enough as far as the fight was concerned. But he will have that Refresher Ravage, both of them available for the next team fight. So that is something to note. And now Timbersaw, he's picked up a Scythe of Vice. So having that extra disable in these team fights will be really effective against Invasion as well. It's kind of something that Imba doesn't have a huge amount of in regards to disables.
Overgrowth only on the 2 Manta Legions, so in the end not really going to amount to much. But yeah, I don't know, Morphling now has something to block with that Lincoln Sphere, so at the very least that item pickup is warranted with that side device picked up, but there's still plenty of things that they can use to break that Lincoln's, I don't know. They don't have a particularly large amount. I think they'll use the Leech Seed, but down in bottom, they're going to cancel a TP of the Shadow Demon. He's just going to be blown up. Not any hope for the Shadow Demon. He'll defensively disrupt himself to waste a little bit of time, but Jennifer gets the kill in the end.
And also note that Ember Spirit's picked up a Blacking Bar. This is an item on Ember Spirit that if the enemy team just has a crap ton of disables and spells, but not a lot that goes through BKB, it can actually be a really good item to pick up, and I feel like this is the perfect scenario. It's basically he's bought an insurance policy to make sure that he will generally not die under almost any circumstance, and when you're facing against a double Ravage, it's generally a pretty good item to pick up, I feel, on the Ember Spirit. So we're seeing Imba just constantly right-clicking this tier 2 tower that has backdoor protection, but finally the creeps arrive. They'll get the tower eventually. The question is, will they move on to this tier 3? They do have Eye of the Storm available, as well as Overgrowth, and pretty much every important ultimate that you need.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know. If they pop their BKBs on time, this Ravage can't do anything, but he's looking for it. He blinks in. He gets the first Ravage. It's nice on Jennifer, but here's the Black Hole, catches out 3 of them with the Eye of the Storm, just shredding through these supports. Shadow Demon, Shadow Shaman fall very quickly, and now Morphling, he's going to be the next one to die. Bristleback Mayan fighting up with that BKB, but the physical damage is too much. Stand in 3-4-3. He's going to be slowed down by the Chakram eventually. Buyback from the Morphling. Another Ravage is coming out. They get the Razor kill at the very least. Now they're trying to blow up the Ember Spirit. They'll be able to get him, but I don't know. Here comes the Timbersaw to just clean up house. He has infinite mana. Now the Morphling, he's man fighting up against him. The physical damage is doing decently. Timber Chain to the low ground, and it looks like he'll be just fine. I don't know, Morphling chasing him down. He'll Timber Chain to the high ground and TP away. So in the end, not the worst engagement for Invasion, pretty much just because they held the high ground, but still a very costly engagement.
But, I mean, the Morphling had the buyback. It was still technically like a 2-for-5 exchange, and that's with the tier 3 tower helping them out, which is down to half health. And with the Serpent Wards being placed pretty much in the perfect position, they could constantly hit everybody. I imagine that the Shadow Shaman did just a ridiculous amount of damage in that team fight, so props to him for putting down the wards at that location. And it was essential that the Morphling bought back in that team fight, or they would have lost the tier 3. I think that was a very important move, but the problem is, like, I mean, yeah, maybe you'll get the tier 2 tower bottom lane, but you're not pushing tier 3 anytime soon, and if we actually saw Invasion try to push up Imba's high ground, I don't think it would really work out.
Definitely not, especially not without the double Ravage that was spent that last fight. Tier 2 tower in the bottom lane is going to be living armored up by the Treant Protector, so just keeping that tower alive, and, well, that's really the strength of the Treant Protector. If you don't fully commit to these towers, they're not going to be stopped. Enigma picks himself up a Lincoln Sphere, so that Black Hole is more than likely not going to be canceled, but in the meantime, we have a Roshan Temp coming out from the Dire team, and they'll be able to get this very quickly. Morphling with an Aegis, cheese on the Bristleback. I think this is what they needed last engagement to win the fight.
Yeah, if they had these last engagements, it would have certainly been a lot easier for them to defend, not as costly. And I would actually say with the cheese and Aegis, the cheese is perfect on Bristleback. He's a hero that you just want to be, you know, in the fight, spamming his spells as long as possible, and that combined with the Aegis on Morphling, which certainly is the hero that needs it on their team, if they can get some type of good initiation with this Tidehunter Ravage, maybe it'll actually end up working out. But no, they're actually going to give the cheese to Morphling, okay? They're just leaving the bottle on the ground. They really want to make sure that he's A-okay in these team fights. But I would still be okay with it being on the Bristleback. But, well, now that I look at his score, 1 and 9, I can see why they decided, okay, let's just make sure our Morphling stays alive.
Yeah, definitely. Where's the engagement? They're going to jump onto the Enigma. They'll be able to blow him up before this fight begins, and there's the Ravage. BKBs are coming out from these heroes, and they're trying to focus him down. The Tidehunter can't get off the second one. Not sure if the Refresher is off of cooldown. It isn't, and he wasn't able to get the second Ravage off anyway, although it was off of cooldown in the end. Tidehunter, or excuse me, in the backlines, I'm missing a lot of this engagement, but that's a triple kill for Jennifer. Morphling trying to man fight up against him. He pops the cheese before he dies, but it's just not going to be enough. Jennifer's so darn tanky. He will be forced back Timber Chain towards the high ground, trying to find out this Shadow Shaman. He's juking through the trees. He's going to miss with the Chakram, but here comes the Ember Spirit. He's going to be able to get the Chain's defensive disruption again. They're looking for the Shadow Shaman. They'll be able, or Shadow Demon, excuse me. They'll be able to get that kill. Morphling, he at least survives, but loses the Aegis as well as the cheese. So I don't know. Enigma, I thought that engagement would go a little bit better for them. They got a good initiation, but it just wasn't enough.
Yeah, I'm really surprised actually they lost the fight that bad. Tidehunter is buying back. He does have his Ravage available, but I don't know.
Oh, he's
They're
going
go
to drop
for
it onto 3 of them. They're trying to focus down this Ember Spirit, and Morphling, he's trying to decide who to go on, but everybody's just falling too quickly. Morphling, he's trying to strength morph through it. The damage is going to be too much, I believe. They're going to shackle in the Razor in place. Now Leech Seed going to be thrown out onto the Shadow Shaman in the backlines. Morphling hasn't died just yet. He's so darn tanky, but in the end, it's not going to matter. The magic nuke damage is there, and the second set of racks is going to fall, and GG called out by Invasion.
Well played by Imba. They certainly have a very strong team fight oriented team, and yeah, that last big engagement, they were able to burst down the Enigma before he got his black hole off, and they put down the wards kind of in the middle of everything. But it was pretty obvious that the wards didn't do nearly as much that fight, and without the protection of the tower and just the overall extreme tankiness of Invasion's heroes, or excuse me, Imba's heroes, they essentially weathered the storm, and then through Storm from Razor on Invasion, were able to just kind of, pop them down one by one. And, I mean, after the double Ravage, there really wasn't much besides the right clicks from Morphling that could be done against Imba's lineup.
Yeah, definitely. Well, that's going to be it for HeflaTV 2, as this was a best of 1. So Imba are going to advance on to play the loser of Scythe versus Myth. I'm not sure if that game's actually going on, but if it is, it will be broadcast on HeflaTV 1 if you want to check out that game. So hopefully that is going on at the same time. But if it's not, you can see the finals. I think we'll be casting that a little bit later on. Not sure when the time is going to be there. But either way, this has been HeflaTV 2. You can also follow the other HeflaTV channels at HeflaTV 1, as well as twitch.tv HeflaMoke for your English Dota 2 casting. And as far as the other social media sites, you can find us on HeflaTV on, I believe, Facebook, as well as on Twitter, and HeflaMoke on YouTube for the VODs, in case you missed a game and want to see one again. I've been GrandisV, and I've been joined by Whiplash, so where can they find you as far as social media is concerned?
If you want, you can follow me on Twitter. I'm at YEAH Whiplash. I appreciate any support. If you guys want to follow me on Twitter, I always tweet whenever I'm doing any type of Dota-related or casting-related content. And I also have a Facebook page. I think it's just Esports Whiplash or Whiplash or something if you want to follow me there as well. So go ahead, check those out. And I believe you can also find GrandisV on Twitter as well.
Yeah, you can find me at GrandisV, as well as at GrandisV on Twitch. So that's pretty much where you can find me. That will be it, as I mentioned earlier, so I'll go ahead and play some music and run some ads as the stream winds down to a close. So thank you for watching, and make sure to follow HeflaTV in the future. That'll be it. GrandisV signing.